What's happening, everybody? Brandon here from Gearist, and that is Arron right there, and this is Grit number 15. Arron, what's going on, man? How are you?
I'm well, man. I'm really, really well. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. Got a lot of miles to talk about. I mean, we've been taking a bit of a break, and we'll kind of touch on that. It's mostly on my end. I will 1,000% own that. I was out of town with the fam, and we've actually had some people going, "Hey, where the hell are you?" Including my wife going, "Hey, where are you going to record at some point?" So we actually do have part two of the episode. What would be episode 14, kind of part two. So Aaron's second part of him being here in Colorado that I still have yet to get up. I will get that up. But before we get into any of that, please like, follow, subscribe, click the notification bell, all those things. We'd really like to hear you guys' comments. We are right now 1 month, so it's July 20th, 2022 as I record this. If you're listening to this right when it comes out, it's going to be July 21st, 2022. We are 1 month out from August 20th, 2022, which is Leadville D-Day Trail 100 in Leadville, Colorado. You pumped up, man? How you feeling?
I am really good. Really
Good.
excited. In a good place.
That's awesome. So before we kind of we've got a couple things of gear that we're going to take a look at. We're going to take a look at one thing now. Then we're going to talk about running. Then we're going to take a look at some other things that Aaron's got on your end, and we're going to talk about kind of where we've been over the last month. When last we spoke, we were really getting into kind of what was it like being out in Colorado? How was training while you were doing that out here? We talked about all sorts of things, but really we're kind of in those steady state, both of us, and you much so, like, if just mathematically speaking, 3 times more than me.
Let's hope
But
so.
really putting in those steady state miles. It's the boring stuff. I mean, quite frankly, but it's also probably the most important place where you put in those long boring miles and you don't get injured and you don't have something. And knock on wood, please, everybody, knock on. I'm gonna knock on the microphone. Everybody, knock on everything you got so that I didn't just jinx it. There you go. Yeah, so we're gonna get into that. Before we do that, the first thing I'm gonna show you guys is this thing right here. So this is a shoe by a company called the Zen Running Club. If you're watching this, by the way, if you're watching on YouTube or Rumble or Odyssey or anything else, take a look. You can see these pictures. We will always, as always, have these in the show notes. Link to these where you guys can take a look at it. Zen Running Club. It's a vegan running shoe. That's how it was pitched to me. So I'm very curious. I have not tried them out yet. They came in while I was out of town, and I will be running in them later on today, actually, I think, because I've been doing mostly trail miles. This is a road running shoe, this model in particular. Got a kind of a knit upper, as you can see there. I'm kind of holding it in the thing. It looks actually kind of like a Nike to some degree. Kind of got a good amount of stack underfoot. Feels like it's got a bit of pop. I'm liking it. I'm kind of pumped. Lori is going to be checking this out as well. If you guys have read Gearist in the past, you've seen or heard Lori. She is actually a vegan. I am a carnivore. Not really, but I'm probably, let's say, we'll use nice and say I'm an omnivore. I don't really care for vegan things necessarily. That said, if that's your thing and you really want to carry that out from just your diet into those other pieces of your life, this is a great option. And a lot of things, a lot of times where shoes and products like clothing become not vegan, you might think it's like the leather, right? And things like that. Where it really happens is in the adhesives. So I'm very curious to see how this holds up, because assuming that adhesives and those glues, right, which are frequently made of parts of animals, that's where that's going to come in. I'm curious to see how this holds up over long, hot miles, because they are hot miles happening here right now. I ran yesterday, and it was at the beginning of my run, 100 degrees. 100 degrees. I thought I was going to die. So, good times. Anywho. Okay, now, Arron, what do you have there that you're very excited to drink?
So I am excited to drink this Athletic Brewing Company non-alcoholic raspberry sour.
Okay.
Our friends over at Athletic Brewing sent me a 6-pack of this and their IPA, one of their IPAs.
All right, so I am extremely interested in this because I maybe it's as I get older. Let me just say, I'm 44, right? You're 38. Like, I feel like a very old person, but that's okay. Um, I I like that shower beer after a run. I question I question really if I'd like it, frankly, a non-alcoholic thing.
So I am the same place. So you're going to get, everyone is going to get a
Firsthand,
very honest first reaction.
do it. I'm drinking a 2022 water.
Ooh, nice. Distilled in the lovely state of Colorado.
Yes, with some lemon juice. Let's see. What do you think?
Oh, that's good.
Is it
That's really good.
really okay?
Yeah, I mean,
Now you're
no,
an IPA
no,
guy. Is that a good sour? Like, is the sour there? The flavors are on point. What are we talking about here?
it is. It is. You can taste the hops. You can taste the sour. It's got a raspberry note. It's that same mouthfeel you want from a sour.
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic. And when I was going back and forth with this nice lady who was sent me this, she said it's a great beer post run that you can drive home with.
Oh, that's actually a great way to put it.
And I was like, you know what? I'm in. And
So-
now I'm really in.
So okay. So how is the alcohol removed? Is it removed? Does it show up at all during?
It says contains less than 0.0 or 0.5% alcohol by volume.
So
it's a near beer.
Can you drink that in the car?
I'm gonna.
Yeah, that's I mean, you could drink a kombucha in the car, which is about the same. So why wouldn't you be able to drink that, right?
I mean, it says right there. I don't know if I can see it. If you can see it, it says
Sort of.
non-alcoholic brew.
Yeah.
So for anyone who used to drink the St. Pauli Girl,
yeah,
near beer,
yeah,
this is your way better option.
That's awesome. I'm very curious to try some of that because, like, I want that taste. I like the salty, the sodium that is present in a lot of it. One of my favorite go-tos, I've talked about this before, is the El Gos by Avery, right? Avery here in Colorado. Yep. I'm very curious about that because that's kind of the kicker. Yeah, there's the sugar aspect of it and things like that. But it's like when I'm done with a run, I like that taste. I like some of that, just that beer taste. So
yeah, that's good. You can't tell that's non-alcoholic.
That's awesome.
And I say that from a dude who loves beer.
Yeah.
That's a spot on.
Dude, I'm so jealous. All right, I'm going to have to get some. Yeah. We're going to have to figure this out. All right. Dude, now I'm going to go run later on today and I'm going to just sweat balls, so I'm sure that I'm going to feel dehydrated. Going to need a frosty, not necessarily adult beverage to drink. Although I feel like introducing that to your kids is probably still not a great idea.
Well, you know.
Here, kids, drink this.
Yeah. Let's share a beer together.
Yeah, why not? All right, so let's talk about running. So, again, it's been a few weeks. I want to hear how your running is going. Just kind of like, let's do this. Let's talk about like how running is going at a high level. And then we'll talk about how my running has gone at a high level. And then we'll talk about some very kind of specific runs, because I'm sure that, like, even though it is the boring stuff, there are things that have kind of like come to the front of your mind. So how's it going?
Great. I am in a really good spot with my running right now.
Nice.
Running 6 to 7 days a week.
Okay.
95% easy. Miles on feet, I try to go an hour a day and then 2 runs longer. So one maybe 90 minutes to 2 hours, and then one 4 to 5 hours.
Nice.
Very, very easy. I've gotten to the point where heart rate is sitting right in that zone 2 area for me. So that's under 140. I try to keep it under 130.
That's your zone 2? My zones are much different than yours.
Well, that's the cool thing about zones, right? They're different. So keep it nice and steady. I mean, the other day, 15 miles, and I mean, there was a 10-mile section where it was like 9:58, 9:57, 9:59. and everything was under that, that 140, super easy. To be honest, the only thing killing me right now is the humidity here. So
Yeah. Yeah. We'll get into this more in the specific runs, but when I was there, so I was down, as you know, I was in Virginia and then in the Outer Banks a few weeks ago, and it was brutal. It was brutal, man. Like dead serious. There were some runs where I couldn't control my heart rate. But I'll get back to that in a second. So my running generally, I'll tell you, like the first thing is that I don't weigh myself. I really don't weigh myself, so it's always a fun surprise when I go to the doctor or something, which is also very seldom. But it's funny because my wife was like, "Oh," and then my husband lost like a Backstreet Boy, so I'm assuming these were '90s or late '90s, early 2000s Backstreet Boys. Um, but I can definitely tell that I'm dropping some lbs, which is good because you kind of you need that. Running is feeling good. I will say that I'm in a similar space again. My zones are very very different from yours, which makes me actually wonder if I'm calculating them wrong. Anyway, doesn't matter, but I'm keeping them in a good spot, and I'm at about the same spot as you relative to pace and things like that. I'm not really pushing it. The challenge that I'm finding is the heat. It's always hot. It's always about exactly where it is right now, this time of year. And my Facebook memories came up the other day. I don't really participate in Facebook, but I still look at the memory stuff because I like that. But I put something up a few years ago that said, out of all the seasons, summer, I rank summer number 37 on my list of favorite seasons. I can't stand it. I honestly, and I get it. People love the heat. You like the heat more than I do. I freaking hate. If I could never have summer again, I'd be good. Um, but I get it. It's a necessary thing. What I'm trying to do though is it like in the past when I've been training for big hot things, that sounded dirty. When I've been training for hotter events, I put myself into situations where I was running in that heat, because I knew that was where the actual event was taking place. In this case, that's not necessarily going to be the case because A, we're going to be at 10,000 feet. B, it's going to be kind of the latter half of August. And while it's still going to be hotter than Six Hells down here in the Front Range, up there, not so much. So, what's the advantage of that for me is that when it cools down, like my body performs way, way better. So, I figure go ahead and throw it all at the heat right now and do what I can. And then it's for me, if I'm running in cold weather and I feel good doing that, transitioning to running in hot is much harder than the opposite. Do you know what I'm saying?
100%.
Yeah.
And I can tell from running here after running there,
Yeah.
um, the heat is more significant than people realize,
Here.
and the humidity. But to that, I think the dryness, the lack of humidity there is going to be something that I'm going to need to understand.
Yeah. I mean, your sweat rate is much different because you don't have the visual reminder of sweat because it just
Right.
evaporates so quickly. And I ran into this the other day on a run that I'll talk about in a minute that just beat the crap out of me. Like it was freaking brutal. But before I talk about that, let's talk about my trip to Virginia and the Outer Banks.
Let's.
So, I knew what I was getting into. I'm from that area. I mean, I know it. We go there pretty much every year, several times a year. But here's the thing. So I got down there, and I knew I wasn't going to have many trails. I think I may have told you in a different conversation. I was looking for trails, and when we were in Hampton, where I'm from originally, which is southeastern Virginia, just what 20, 30 minutes north of where you are,
Yep.
depending on traffic, or 3 hours depending on traffic. um, it I did a couple runs there. I found this trail, Sandy Bottom Nature Park, where I know you've done a big run before, or Sandy Bottom Natural Area. I'll put this in the show notes. I got to find it, but it was not bad. It's a good trail. In that particular case, it's kind of between. It's right by the highway on one side, which makes it a little noisy here and there. But there's so many trees, and this is one of the biggest differences between there and here, is that the trees are so everything's so green, and it's not that it's not here. It's very different though. It's so green, the air doesn't really get in there and circulate as well as it does here for the most part. And then it holds that moisture in there. Um, yeah, and I will say that I had to in that particular trail. It's there are very few hills on it. Like there's pretty much no elevation gain, but it was still nice. I mean, it's a good, very peaty, very East Coast trail in that area, kind of Mid Atlantic East Coast trail. Um, Rudy here and there. I was actually pleasantly surprised at the amount of bugs. I feel like most states joke that their state bird is the mosquito during this time of year, but like in my experience growing up, that is definitely the case. It wasn't so bad, and I didn't really put on anything. Maybe it's because I was running so freaking fast. Maybe that's what it was. I was just like the flash through there. Um, but it felt really good after, and this is the thing that was I think my biggest takeaway from that entire experience. I just embraced the suck as it pertains to sweat. Um, it was so humid that I was just dumping sweat out of the gate, and I didn't carry water with me. If anything, I would put it in the car and just kind of run back the car because everything's a loop. Um, but I was just dumping sweat, and as I found myself like wiping sweat away, I was like, "Why am I doing this?" Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Just the sweat wipe, and then
Yeah.
I'm already wet.
Yeah, and it doesn't matter.
No.
And so at some point, I was like, okay, I'm typically speaking a hat forward guy, but that hat from Boco Gear that you got me from Running Etc., which again, thank you and thanks to Running Etc. I flipped it around because a typical trucker that's got the plastic band, right, kind of the snapback. If you flip that around, that plastic band doesn't suck up anything, and then the sweat just runs out of your eyes. That hat, the Velcro, both the band of the hat itself, and then the it's not a snapback, but it's a Velcro back. That actually does suck up some of the sweat, and it maybe it was just my perception, but it channeled it away. Once I got it out of my eyes, I was golden, and I just let the sweat happen. I looked like I pissed my pants or went swimming, take your pick. But in any event, it was just kind of embracing it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. That's every run for me.
Yeah.
Literally every run.
Couldn't do it. Couldn't do it. Yeah. Then when we went to the beach, which so we were in Hampton, I think we were only there like a day or 2 days or something like that. When we went to the beach, so we were in Kitty Hawk. If you know the Outer Banks, it's we're like milepost 2.5 or 3, something like that. Very near kind of the turnoff for Southern Shores and Duck
Yep.
and Crawl and all that. Well, so we're on a road where if you don't know the Outer Banks, take a look. I'll put up actually a Google Maps thing so you guys can see. The Outer Banks is kind of like this very long, it's like 400 miles or something like that, strip of land. And when I say strip, I mean that in most places it's narrow, or it's about a mile wide, if that.
Yeah, if that.
Yeah, and on the eastern side you've got the Atlantic Ocean. On the western side you've got the Pamlico Sound, at least up north, right?
Yep.
Then you got kind of the Albemarle Sound and
Well, yeah,
Curtis
that
Sound.
runs into Manio, and the other side of Manio, it switches
Yes.
sounds, and then, yep.
Yeah. So that's very calm, shallow water, all that kind of stuff. So you're on this strip of land. It's very, very flat, and we are on a road that they have the beach road. You know, what's called the bypass, which is kind of the 55-mile-an-hour road. The beach road is like right along the beach. The next thing over is the ocean. Like there's no road in between there. But there's a block in between there at spots, and so we are on that road. Our house and things like that. Our family's house, and so when I'm running, it's primarily on that road because the beach road tends to get kind of busy, and it's
So you were running down 12?
no. So Lindbergh.
Got it.
Lindbergh is one block off at that point. So,
Yep.
You know where Winks is?
Hmm.
Yeah, or was, I guess. It's the next block back, sort of, which is right by Art's place and all that. Anyway,
Yep.
um, it's a great spot to run. The air doesn't move because you've got houses on both sides. If there's a strong breeze, you might feel it. There is no shade, and I was doing like five was kind of where I got comfortable. But the first run I went, I was like, I'm gonna do five. I got 3.5 miles, and I started looking at my watch. I couldn't control my heart rate. Like it was just
Yeah.
taking off, and I was like,
Mhm.
all right, I'm gonna walk a little bit, and I was walking, and it
Yeah.
wouldn't drop,
Yeah.
and it didn't matter. And so I don't remember what I did, but I know that what I tried doing was dropping the intensity back on the front end of the run, because I feel like once your heart rate goes to whatever that high spot is where you don't want it, bringing it down is the challenge. But if you can maintain control from the beginning, then it's much easier to control. And you have the other thing is that you have to toss any semblance of pace out the window because none of that nonsense matters. So it was brutal, man. But I got some actually really good runs in after a bit. I started running much more in the morning, um, which was slightly helpful. So
Yeah. I mean, and especially down there, because you get so you're right next to the beach, but it's not like you walk to the beach. You got to walk over the dune to get to the beach.
yes,
So any ocean breeze that's coming in off the ocean is going to get hit by the dune, and so when you're running, you're not feeling it.
nothing.
Um, yeah, it's a different beast when you get to the ocean front, and that's where I'm
Yeah, yeah,
100 yards from the beach now. So
yeah. I will also say that while I was down there, I found a place called Nags Head. So Nags Head is a Nags Head Woods, but Nags Head is the name of a town. And the kind of, as I understand it, is if I remember from when I was a kid, Nags Head is named because there used to be historically, like early kind of colonial times, a dude in lieu of a lighthouse would walk up and down the beach with a nag, so an old horse with a light tied around its head, its
hmm.
neck, kind of as a de facto lighthouse. And so now, and then the legend is that you can, some people say, oh, you can still see that when it's probably just like some 15-year-olds smoking pot on the beach. So, um,
Most
so
likely.
yeah, so that's why Nag's Head got its name. So anyway, Nag's Head Woods, I'd never been there.
Mm.
And, I will say that's a pretty dope little trail. It should be like 5 times as long minimally.
Yeah.
But there's no space. Like, where are you gonna put it? But there are like some legit, like very legit hills back there. I mean, like 65-foot hills, and I know that's not.
Yes. Yes.
And they're sandy too, so it's
Yep.
not like you're running up rocks. It's like sand.
Yeah.
But you've run there too, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So I've run there a bunch of times. It's a very quaint little trail system. I think there's
Yes,
like 3 trails back there,
something like that.
3 or 4 trails.
Yeah.
You can get maybe 10 miles before you get bored back there.
Well, so here was the interesting thing about that, and and this was where was I looking at it? I was looking at it on. It may have been the map there. It may have been their website, or it may have been Trail Run Project. I don't know, but or hiking project or something. Anyway, what it was doing was it was telling me the trail distance from the trailhead and doing each loop. So they're kind of concurrent, 2 or 3 concurrent loops. So
Yeah.
you start at the trailhead. Trail one goes out, loops and comes back. Trail two goes out further, loops and comes back. Trail three goes further. And I'm used to, like, here, when you look at a trail map, especially at a trailhead, it's going to say, great, from this point to this point is this far.
Yep.
And then from this point to the next point is this far. And you kind of add them up. Here, it was like, oh, no, this whole thing is this far. And so I got very confused. I was like, telling my wife, because she went out with my son while I was running, and they were at the trail system too. I was like, oh, I'm going to go do, I forget what I said. I'm looking at this. I think I can just knock out 7 miles or something. It'll be pretty good. It'll feel good, whatever. So I get back there, and it's not 7 miles, because it was like what, 2.5 plus 2.5 plus 2 or something like this. Well, it's not. It's those things are each of those. So I had to start doing all these stupid loops and wound up at just right at 5 miles.
Yeah.
Because you're right. You get bored, you know?
It's fun though.
It is.
I could see, like, if I lived there, that could be a place where you would do repeats on.
Yeah. But I'll also say, and I get it because it's owned, I think that's the way it's run by the Nature Conservancy. Um, it is very interesting in that there could be way more trails back there.
Mm,
Way
100%.
more trails. And I get it. You want to take care of the trail and the woods that it actually sits in, and I get it. But there could be a much bigger network of trails back there, you know.
100%.
As it stands though, I feel like if you start venturing off, you're going to find animals that you don't want to find back there, like some
You're too far north for any real alligators.
there are canebrake rattlesnakes though back there, snapping turtles for sure.
Snapping turtles. Yeah, well, I mean, come on. They're not moose. They're not bear.
That's true. They're not mountain lions.
Right. Like, just stay away.
Yeah.
If they scare you, go run on the road.
But it was a great trail. I mean, I really enjoyed it. I'd really like to go back and do it when it's colder. So we'll probably be down there again toward the end of around Christmas time. So I'll probably hit it up and probably still be wearing shorts, but that's okay too.
Well, here in December, it could be 70 still.
Yes, it can also be cold there, as you know. I mean, you
It
know.
can be.
So before I get to kind of when I came back, what were you doing like a couple weeks ago? Like how was that? What trails are you hitting? Is it pretty much first landing over and over? What are you doing?
So, yeah, when I'm here, it's first landing.
Yeah.
Most of my runs, I'm in that spot where the trails feel great. The road, not so much,
Yeah.
except for just recently, and we'll get into that later.
Yep.
But I went to the lake, Smith Mountain Lake, which is like 5 hours west, and ran up Smith Mountain while I was there. And for everybody who's not in Virginia, it is not a mountain. I got a couple thousand feet of gain in just shy of 15 miles. It was a good, solid run, but it's, 4 miles straight uphill. Then you run the ridge and then 4 miles straight downhill.
Yeah.
So it's a good run. I got to use my trekking poles again. So I'm really comfortable with those now. Other than that, it's been, first landing, done some loops. Now I've got to stay away from the water. For anybody who has seen my Instagram, there's a trail called Long Creek.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
And I think on that one shoulder there was like 14 horsefly bites.
Yeah,
so
dude.
I gotta stay away from the trails that hug the Chesapeake Bay right there.
Yeah, those things are brutal, man. That the black flies as I was on the way back in at Nags Head Woods, they started biting, and as you go down and up that one big hill, kind of in the first mile there, and you're going slow. Like they were just like, sweet human flesh. Let's do this. Oh yeah. There was a guy. So there's a guy that you and I both know, Arron DeBoard.
Mm-hmm.
Arron ran Oak Grove Lake Park. Do you know this place?
Yeah.
In Chesapeake. Is that any good?
No, I'm gonna go no.
It just looks like all poison ivy. Like I'm looking at his Instagram and it looks like all poison ivy.
So it's small. There's like a mountain bike section where people have made jumps and all this other stuff. He lives out in Chesapeake, so
okay, yeah, got it.
Or he lives out in that direction. I'm a snob at this point.
Sure.
I can be on the trail in 10 steps from my driveway.
Yeah. Yep.
So why go anywhere else? This is the biggest trail system we have in 20 miles. So
yeah. So let me ask you, coming back, and we talked about this in kind of the second episode of part 14, let's call it, or episode 14. When you're coming back, like, do you feel like you got an advantage from being here, apart from just kind of the vert and the altitude and things like that? Do you feel like your running has been different, better, worse, whatever, since going back to Virginia, or just the same?
Um, I don't think I was I was there long enough to
Right.
get like the full benefit of being in the mountains for, you know, 2 months
Weeks.
or
Yeah.
3 weeks or I mean, we were there. I was there for what, 5 days. I got
Hmm.
4 solid run days in.
Hmm.
Um, I'm more confident and more mentally prepared for Leadville
Okay.
after going there.
Like seeing the terrain type of thing.
Seeing the terrain, the way I felt, even the second day going up to and past 12,000 feet,
Yep.
the fact that I could hike up for 7 miles or whatever it was before turning around,
Yep.
all uphill, not catching, not losing my breath,
Yep.
getting tired, but not exhausted.
Yeah.
Putting every one of those miles, I think we're sub 18 minutes.
Yep.
Um, so that's cutoff pace going uphill,
Right.
right? So
Right.
if I can do that going uphill and run the flats, then yeah,
Yeah.
confident that Leadville is going to be a day of situation.
Yep. Good. Good. Um, yeah, that's awesome. It's one of those things where I think that, and I've done this too, where you go someplace, you're like, I'm gonna totally do some reco on this uh, trail or this route or whatever it is, and you go there, and it's rarely what you think it is. You get kind of mentally prepared for it, and I feel like that's the biggest obstacle. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, so I did have there are a couple runs that because it's been just ridiculously hot the last couple weeks. Um, Last week or what day? I'm gonna mess it all up, so it doesn't really matter. But I did this run um, this past weekend, and I wanted to go long, so I was aiming for 20. And I did it at this place called Devil's Backbone that you and I did not go. We could have gone. I like Devil's Backbone because when you on the opening part of the trail, it's kind of rolly, kind of flattish. It's not that big a deal. Then you go up on this hill thing, and it's just rip your legs apart like they're ankle breaker kind of. It's even difficult to describe without seeing it because it's kind of like all these rocks that are like at this 45-degree angle and you're having to run this way across them and they're all it's just like just setting you up to break your ankles. But then you come back down and you can get kind of steady state miles in there and it's rolly and kind of on just single track and whatever. The downside to it is that there is zero water. There is one livestock trough, which literally is a trough of water with stuff swimming in it. And otherwise there's no water, there's no running water, there's no standing water, there's nothing. And so it when you get going, if you're not managing your water right, it's not going to go great. So on this run I went out and I got to 2 day literally 2 days before this I had done 7, something like that, and it was great. Like I got up and over their ankle breaker stuff, it felt really good. Now I will say that a storm had kind of rolled into the west of that and it was blocking out the sun. So it was around 78 degrees with a little breeze. Felt fantastic. This day, I went out there and again, it was like 103 when I started. And I knew what I was getting myself into. This trail system is so brutal that at the trailhead, there's a sign that says, if it's over 90 degrees, do not take your dog on this trail. If you do, we will come find you and we will fine you. We'll write you a ticket because there's nowhere for anybody to get any water. So I got on this trail, hit that 3.5 mile turnaround that I hit the day before, and I was dying. I was like, this is ridiculous. And I was like, all right, I just need to get out of my funk. I'm going to stand here for a second, drop the intensity back. And I did that. I started running again. Nope. It was just beating the crap out of you. Because then you're in this like valley and the trail starts to climb up this one side. So you're up against the wall of the kind of canyon-ish thing. So there's no real wind because
Mm.
it's like just gets stopped up against the. So you're just baking. Um, and I had 3 liters of water, and I at some point I got to about mile 12, and it was taking me up and up and up and up. And I was like, I've got to flip it at 6 miles out. And I was like, I've got to flip it because I'm getting into dangerous territory. Like I could tell I was below halfway on my water. And I was like, well, there's a lot of downhill on the way back, but still, you still got to
Yeah.
go up and over that ankle breaker. So I only got 12, but it's okay because, like you, I feel like I'm getting to a spot where even when I was going back and I was feeling like garbage, like the last I ran out. I timed my water, knowing that if I was going to wind up in a spot of being underhydrated, I was fine with doing that with a mile left, and so I timed my water to run out with 1 mile left. Because if I'd run out before that, I'd be hosed for the rest.
Yeah, it gets difficult. Now, were you timing your water so like every 5 minutes or every whatever you were taking a sip, or
No, I was. I find it's always the case with me when I start running it. And actually, this is a great question. I'm curious to hear other people's answers. So, first, I should mention that I had scratch in there. So it's hydration. There were no calories really. I mean, a little bit, but not really to speak of.
electrolytes, right?
Electrolytes, yeah, excuse me. Um, and I also had Endurolites, the Hammer Nutrition, just purely electrolyte tablets, because I tend to sweat a lot of salt out and magnesium and potassium and all the EMs, right? The electrolytes. Um, and so for the first of all runs, even when I'm carrying water, I tend to forget that I have water. I don't know why. Like I just don't drink water for the first few miles. And frankly, maybe that's a big flaw with me. It's not that I get to a spot where I go, "Holy crap, I'm so thirsty." It's that I get to a spot where I go, "Oh, look at that. There's a straw attached to me. Maybe I should put some water in my face." So, after that, it was just kind of drinking to thirst to a large degree. Um, yeah. So, not really. But on the way back, when I could tell that I was below halfway, but I still had half the run to go, I was like, okay, now I need to be very aware of what I'm doing. And so what I tried doing in that spot was I'm literally at halfway. I took a lot of water on, so like half a liter, because I could feel myself needing to catch up. So I took on like a half a liter, and then after that, I was probably every 5 minutes. Let's do some sipping. Let's take a Endurolite so that I am definitely absorbing all of the water that I can. So it was rough, man.
Yeah. Do you? And then the last question, we can move
Yeah,
on.
yeah, you're good.
Uh, do you freeze like a liter of water in your pack overnight, or are you an ice guy?
I'm an ice guy, and in that case, the ice was gone.
5 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, it was gone.
Yeah.
Like, and it was funny because it's kind of like I'm doing this calculus in my head going, am I doing myself more harm than good? Because you can tell you're raising your core temperature, right? And because you're taking on hot water, everything in your hose is like 1,000 degrees, and then everything in your pack is 98.6 degrees, and it's just
Yeah.
like you're just drinking bath water. So yeah, I tend to not be a put ice in there guy or a freeze it guy because it's going to rupture. I always am afraid just I'm going to do the wrong calculation. So yeah,
Fair enough.
it tends to be mix it up, put some ice in there.
Yeah.
That's what I do. So yeah,
I found that if I freeze half of it,
yeah,
half my bag, or even a little less, that solid block of ice takes a lot longer to
does it?
melt than a bunch of little pieces because there's less surface for the water to melt the ice.
Do you feel like do you freeze it so like I'm holding up a cup? Let's pretend the cup is the bladder. Do you freeze it laying flat? Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
So, what I'll do is I'll put a cup or something inside of it
Hmm.
to lift up from the top so the bag doesn't freeze together.
Yep.
And then I get a nice sheet of ice.
That's good.
And it lasts longer.
I wonder if it would last even longer if it were in the bottom of the pack, like the bottom half, because
That's where my
then,
straw goes, though.
oh yeah, that's a good point. Yeah,
I've made that mistake, and then I had to wait until that thawed, and then I was dehydrated already.
yeah, that's a good point. Because I was wondering, yeah, hmm. Now I'm curious. I'm gonna have to experiment with this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because what I was thinking is that, but you're right, that is with the straws. What I was thinking is that if it's in a sheet and that sheet is up against your back, it's gonna melt. So, and if it's on the not back side, then it's gonna plug up the hose. So if it's the bottom half, though, if the hose were clear somehow, if it were the bottom half, it would freeze or would thaw even slower because only half the ice is against your back. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
But it would plug up the hose, so it's kind of a moot point.
I will
It's
say,
like a cow's opinion. It's
right,
moot.
the insulated Nathan,
Yes.
dude, this thing, Nathan,
Yep.
thanks for hooking it up. Awesome.
Yeah, I think that a lot of people. So I have several insulated things, and but they're really in packs that are more meant for winter stuff.
Right, so they don't freeze.
Correct. But yeah, I need to go dig those up and start using them more. Just put something around it. It's just, yeah, it's just so brutal, man. It was so hot, and so it's fine. But really what I'm looking for right now is I need those steady state miles. I can do the climbing all day. I need just the miles on my feet and running, because I need to not, I don't want to be dealing with the ankle breaker stuff right now. I'm happy to do that here and there once, twice a week, but like I need the steady state stuff. So the trail by my house, the one that I pointed out to you, that is the trail that I just need to start doing loops on. I did it yesterday, sitting in the car, opened the door to the car. I took a picture of the thermometer because the weather apps were like, oh, it's 96 degrees. I was like, it is not 96 degrees, you SOB. I took a picture because it said every bit, where is it?
102.
100 degrees.
Yeah.
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 So,
Well, and then, like, you don't have this problem, not where you are, but you did down in North Carolina. And I do every day is it could be 85, 90, 95 degrees out there. As soon as I head into the woods, it's
stops.
maybe not as hot, maybe 5 degrees cooler because you're in the shade, but there's zero wind and the humidity is 10, 15% thicker than out there. So real feel back in the woods is 100 degrees, and now I'm sweating everything I have all the time.
Yeah. It's pretty rough. It's very interesting because again, I'm now in my mind, I've kind of switched focus to like I got to build, and I still have to build, right? I mean, that's still part of that's the biggest part of what you're doing right now. But I just need the steady state stuff, and it's kind of not getting from it's not getting to zero, it's getting from 0 to 10 or whatever. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like that's a great spot to be because you get into those steady state things, you find that sweet spot that we talked about a couple episodes ago, and yeah, it's just putting the big miles before the big miles. You know?
Yeah.
So
100%.
yeah, I'm curious to see how this coming the rest of this week goes because I'm starting to bump up my frequency more, and it's gonna. I don't want it to tax my legs. I should have brought it down. I'll have to bring it on the next episode. But is this the R1 from Roll Recovery? So it's actually the pulsating kind of massage gun. That thing has been a godsend. I will tell you, I'm really enjoying that. Doing a lot of foam rolling
From these guys.
from those guys. Roll Recovery, based out of Boulder, Colorado. Exactly. So the Roll Recovery is the pulsating. If you guys, everybody, I'm sure knows that the massage gun's Theragun or whatever it is, and it's doing a great job, especially my calves, because if you recall, like back in like February or whatever, that was the thing that was bothering me. So, let's talk about the gear that you have because it's an interesting transition because the thing that it seems like when my calves stopped giving me trouble is when I stopped being on roads so much. Now in the Outer Banks, Virginia, I was on roads more because when you're at the beach, unless you're in Nags Head Woods, that's where you have to run, or on the beach, which I'm never going to do. So that put me on road more, and I was a little worried, but my calves held in there just fine. And so you were telling me about a shoe that you ran in that just absolutely crushed it on roads. Curious to see.
So I gave you a sneak peek, and and these are yours, so they're coming to you. But this right here is the New Balance Fuel Cell Super Comp Trainer.
Super comp. That's
Um,
awesome.
I will send you the details on the verbiage on it, the written
Okay.
word on it so far. But this shoe, if you can see, has this. Now, it's got a pretty deep cavity here,
It does.
but it's got a massive stack. It's 40 plus millimeters of stack.
Wow.
I mean, I don't know if you can see, but it is super, super soft. I mean,
Nice.
you can squeeze it. It
Yep.
feels like you're on a cloud. This is, if you've put your foot in a Bondi, a Hoka Bondi,
Yep.
it is softer than the Hoka Bondi. But with this, what they call the Energy Arc,
Energy arc. Yeah.
it's a plate that runs straight down.
Okay.
It stops here. It's the most responsive yet pillowy shoe.
Really?
I mean, it is. I wrote them back and was like, this is a game changer for me because I can run all day in this shoe and feel. I mean, you look at it, it looks beefy.
Yeah, it does.
But it weighs nothing. Fantastic. The only complaint so far is I've had a bunch of little rocks stuck in here.
Yeah, I mean, if you're on road, purely road, it's not gonna move it so much, right? I mean, unless you're hitting gravel.
Yeah, I mean, so you've been to Virginia Beach. I run down the feeder road when I run on the roads until I get over and down. I mean, I say, quarter size rocks out of people's driveway, shit like that.
Yep.
Do they get stuck right here? And if I'm listening to a podcast, it doesn't matter. But as soon as I am not,
scrape.
dink, 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 dink.
That'll drive me nuts.
Not that fast, so I don't run that fast. It's more like dink, dink, dink.
I love it. Yeah.
But the next piece of gear,
yes, let's see this,
is these bad boys. And you were just talking about recovery, and this right here. Now it looks like a mix between a Croc and a road shoe, and God knows what, a native, if anybody knows what natives are.
Yep.
But I will tell you what, I finished my run. I knocked my shoes off, still in my run clothes with my socks. I put these on for 20 minutes just to cool down, walk around my house. No foot pain whatsoever.
And who are those by again? Those are Kane?
Kane. Yep. I got the shirt on.
Nice.
Kane footwear. It's just a good shoe. I took them to the beach the other day, walked through the sand, didn't burn my feet.
Nice.
Got home, hosed them out. Fantastic shoe. Great recovery shoe. Highly recommended.
Awesome.
And now I'm at the point where I'm trying to stand as much as possible, so I'm standing now. Yep. I've been standing in these for 50 minutes, and great.
That's fantastic. Yeah, recovery, especially, and again, I'm going to sound like the old guy in the room, but as I get older, and I realized this several years ago, it's that recovery is everything. I mean, yeah, you could put in the miles, and you have to. I mean, right? But like, if you maximize recovery, and we never do. I mean, let's face facts. Like, maybe you do better than I do. I never do all the things that I should be doing. Because when do you have time? I mean, when you're home from a hot run, you're just absolutely gassed, and you want to sit on the couch.
Yeah.
The last thing I want to do is feel like I'm doing push-ups for half an hour using a foam roller, or whatever it is. It's all about recovery, man.
Yeah. I mean, for me, it's these shoes, compression socks, compression sleeves.
Yep.
If I'm late at night, I'll break out the Theragun downstairs and vibrate the entire couch. I've got the R8, which is, I just showed you. That sits next to my desk, so when I'm working, I can roll occasionally. But yeah, when I'm done with a run, it's usually I have an hour and a half or an hour. I run for 98% of that. And then I'm answering a call or working or taking a kid somewhere, doing something, dripping sweat.
A friend of mine, well, several friends of mine, but one in particular, they use Normatec all the time, Normatec boots. I would love to get my hands on some Normatec boots, but those are, um, I mean,
Expensive.
it's an investment.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
my training partner, Mark, who's a manager over at Running Etc.,
Hmm.
he's got a pair, and he's like, anytime you need them, just come on over. I'm like, yeah, but dude, you live like 20 minutes away.
Yeah. I mean,
You come to my house, bring the boots.
yeah. Do you ever jump in the ocean though? I mean, I think you've
Oh yeah,
told me
yeah.
that you do before. Yeah.
Oh, 100 today.
Yeah. Because I mean, it's cold, it's salt, and when you're underwater like that, it's effectively pressure on the leg. It's
Mm-hmm.
got to feel good.
Oh, 100%. And then I
Yeah.
run, and then we go to the swim team, and I'll sit in the kiddie pool.
Yeah. You're the weird dad sitting in the kiddie pool, just
Oh,
sitting there
100%.
with your non-alcoholic beer.
Yeah. Well,
What's up, guys?
yeah. There may
Hello,
or may
recap.
not be a Bud Light or something in my hand at that point, or an IPA if they have it on draft.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's I mean it's all about recovery. It really is. Yeah, I'm curious to see cuz uh I we have scheduled we're going to try to do Long's Peak on the 27th of August. We'll see how that goes. So we'll see. Cuz
You'll be fine.
well, I mean it's just the yeah, most likely. We'll see.
Fine.
Anyway, any other gear? You good?
Yeah. One last thing,
Yes.
and it's because I've been running in them a lot lately. But where's the name? These shorts, Nathan shorts,
Oh, nice.
the front runner. And now I bring these up because I am not a liner guy. I don't
Okay.
like liners in my shorts. But this has a liner. It has a boxer
Full.
brief liner. It's a
Yep.
5-inch short, 5-inch inseam with like a 4-inch liner. But the liner is comfortable. The liner has a pocket for your phone.
Nice.
So it's a little compression against your thigh. Your phone sits in there. They don't jostle around. And this, I've worn this on 20-mile runs, and they've been wonderful. They have quickly rose to the rank of possibly my Leadville game day short.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Super comfortable, moisture wicking, odor, don't smell.
Yeah.
Super comfortable, super lightweight, comfy, cozy. Everything I want in a short.
So I that's fantastic. I got to get a pair of those too. There's a short I mentioned it a few weeks ago. It's from 10,000.
Mm-hmm.
And so on that one that you just showed us, the phone pocket is it's on the liner, but it's on the outside of the line, like on the thigh.
Yeah, outside of my right thigh.
So the 10,000 shorts, which I actually really like, um, I like everything about them except the pockets they have. I think there's a zip pocket on the back or something like that. But anyway, the pockets they would have that would be for your phone or whatever are on the inside of the liner, so against the skin. But there's a pocket, so it's not really
You
against the
didn't get
skin.
a pair like the liner flipped inside out, did you?
No, no. I mean maybe, but and then they're large enough for like a goo. So
Oh,
now
they're small and in the inside?
to be fair, they may be able to be stretched, but they're on the inside for sure. And as we have already talked about, I sweat like a
That's not a good thing to have.
yes. I sweat like crazy. And so like I always put my phone well, not always, but most of the time put my phone in a Ziploc bag anyway. Super high tech. Just to kind of protect it, but like I don't know if that would fit in there. I really don't.
Hmm.
It's kind of a design flaw because I think the pocket on the outside of the thigh is of a liner is that's where it's at. And I am a liner guy.
Yeah.
If well, we talked about this before. I think if I have a liner, I want it to be like a boxer brief liner.
Mm-hmm.
If I don't, I'll just wear a boxer brief under it, under the short, because I like the way that a boxer brief feels. That, and I don't want my like thighs to spontaneously burst into flame because my thighs rub together so much. So
Yeah, I mean, and with these, now I haven't worn these commando.
yep,
I still wear my Sax because I'm a Sax dude.
yeah, yeah.
I don't leave the house without them.
Yeah, that's good. Um, it's interesting when I see a well built product like the one that I'm talking about, the 10,000
10,000.
one, and then it just doesn't. It like is missing this one very obvious thing. But what do I know? Anywho, all right. Well, thanks to everyone for joining us. We are going to get. So I think what we're probably going to do now, just based on schedule, is we're going to publish these on Thursdays at the same time. So it'll be 5 a.m. East Coast time, 3 a.m. kind of Colorado time on Thursday. Because what I'm finding is that like the weekend for me and then Monday is always bad. And so if we're going to record, it's probably going to be on Tuesday or Wednesday most of the time, just
Yep.
time being what it is with kids and all that stuff. So, um, anything, what big run do you have coming up this week? Like what's your goal this week?
See, I've done 5, 5, and 5, or 5, 5, and 6. So tomorrow and today I did 1 minute efforts,
Nice.
which sucked. I mean, I've tried putting in one speed workout or
Sure.
something into the week just to maximize efficiency before the race. So tomorrow is Thursday, probably 10 or 12.
Okay.
Friday will be an easy day, 5, 6, 7, something like that. And then Saturday or Sunday. Saturday we have a swim meet, so I'll be there all day. And then so Sunday morning I'll probably do hopefully 20. Okay. We'll see what the weather does, see what holds.
Good. That's awesome. Yeah, I did 5 yesterday. I'm probably going to do 5 today. I will probably do close to between 7 and 10 on Friday. And then I need to do something else. Like this past weekend, I went for a hike on Saturday, so I get time on the legs, but not running. And then Sunday, I need to get pretty close to 20. And I really, God, the loop by my house is like 5 miles. I don't want to do that 4 times. That sounds like just the worst thing. So I've got to find out where I'm going to go. But so Sunday is going to be longer. So that's the plan, man. Anything else you want to mention before we hang up?
No, like, comment, subscribe.
Like, comment, subscribe.
Hit the notification bell.
Yes, and if you guys see, my Instagram is right here at Gearist. Arron's is over there if you're watching, right there. There you go. At Arron with 2 R's, ARRONGARROD. Follow us both on Instagram. Tell us what's up, guys. We'll keep you guys posted on all the things that we've got coming out. I've got some more gear that's going to be coming in. We're going to be talking about next week. I've actually got a bike helmet sitting right here, and I can show you guys. I don't feel like anybody probably cares. Hold on one second. I know some of you care because some of you ride bikes. This is from Belay. This is actually a really awesome helmet that has, I'll show you here, and a pair of glasses. It's made with like this kind of it's a very kind of a green product, right? So it is the Eco React helmet. It's got MIPS in it. The foam, as you can see there, the EPS foam right here is kind of like got recycled bits in it, which is very kind of cool. Still keeps the weight down. It's actually got this brim that comes with it. So I might wear it with this brim when I'm wearing it as like a road or as a mountain bike helmet, but I tend to be a brimless guy. So it's got that going on. You can see right there.
Oh, that looks very hipster.
Very hipster. But this also can easily come out. And then it's got other pads that can go into it and just make it just that. And then these glasses right here, which the label is somewhere else, but so I forget what it is. But these are sunglasses that go with it. If you know Belay, you probably know they're a legacy sunglass brand, but they also make some pretty dope helmets and things like that. So that's what I'm working with right here. I'm actually gonna run these. I'm kind of pumped because they're very light. They're not as light as those jewel bows. These jewel bows right
They
here.
look like they sat low too, so they wouldn't cause your eyebrows to sweat in too much.
You'd be surprised. I have very sweaty eyebrows. So, yeah, we've got some more gear to talk about next week. We'd love to hear back from you guys. Here's what I want to hear. how are you guys dealing with heat where you are? What's interesting is that we are in the dog days of summer. And there are people like Arron, you freaks of nature, who love heat. I think there's something genetically wrong with you if you enjoy heat. um, I just hate it. I hate it so much. I cannot wait for winter where I go out and I can just sweat and then be instantly cooled off because of winter. So,
I mean, to each their own.
yeah, well, I mean, we can all be right. So, anyway, thank you, Arron.
Thank you,
Thanks to
sir.
all those of you that are listening. Again, please comment. Let us know how you're dealing with the heat out there, guys. Gearist, number 15. Wow. Why don't we call this 16? We'll call this 16. I'll call this 16. And then we'll call the part 2 number 15, which means I have to get up part 2. And good Lord, it's so confusing now. I'll just get them all up. You'll see. Thank you guys so much, Arron. See you in a few days, man.
Later, man.
Later, buddy.